The moment someone disrespects you, it happens fast. A comment, a tone, a look, a joke that cuts just enough to sting. And in that split second, your body wants to react. You feel the heat rise, your chest tightens, your mind scrambles for words. The average person does what they've been trained to do. They defend, they explain, they get emotional. They say, "Don't talk to me like that. That's not what I meant." Why would you say that? It sounds strong. It feels justified. But it's the exact move that makes you weak forever. Because the second you react, you accept their frame. You admit they touched something in you. You show them where the nerves are. And from that moment on, they don't just disrespect you once. They know they can. That's how people get trained to step on you. But there is another option, a colder one, a move so simple it feels wrong. No anger, no defense, no explanation, just a response that flips the entire room. One move that says, without words, "You don't have the power to put me on trial." And when you do it right, the disrespect doesn't grow. It dies. If this already sounds like something you've lived through, take a second to like this video because once you see how power really shifts, you stop giving it away without noticing. First, understand this. Disrespect is never just about words. It's not about the insult itself. It's a power test. Every moment of disrespect is a subtle challenge to see who controls the emotional frame. It's a way of asking, will you break first? Will you react? Will you let them pull you into their game? Because whoever reacts emotionally loses the frame. They become the one who is being led rather than the one who is leading. Now let's look through the Machiavellian lens. Machiavelli didn't fight disrespect. He used it. He saw every insult not as an offense, but as an opportunity, an opening to show that he was above the game entirely. Where others saw a reason to argue, he saw a chance to demonstrate calm authority. Where others felt the need to explain, he felt the power of letting the insult reveal the attacker's own weakness. In other words, he didn't just avoid reacting. He turned the test around, using their attempt at disrespect as fuel to make himself look even more untouchable. So remember, disrespect is a power test, and the Machiavellian response is not to fight it, but to use it to show that you're the one who sets the frame. Once you do that, the power shifts instantly. Here's the fundamental law you must internalize. The one who reacts gives power, and the one who controls the frame takes it. Let's break that down. Disrespect is never just an insult. It's bait. It's a lure thrown out to see if you'll bite. The moment you bite, by getting defensive, by explaining yourself, by snapping back, you've accepted the bait. And once you do that, you're no longer holding the reins. You've handed them over to the person who set the trap. You've let them dictate the terms of the encounter. Machiavelli understood that the real battle isn't in the words exchanged. It's in the frame that those words exist within. If you react, you confirm their frame, that you're someone who can be provoked, someone who can be made to explain, someone who is affected by their opinion. But if you control the frame, you shift the entire dynamic. You show that their disrespect is beneath response. You show that you define the conversation, not them. You show that you're the one who sets the terms. In essence, the person who reacts emotionally is handing over power. The person who controls the frame is taking it. Disrespect is just bait. And the Machiavellian move is to never bite that bait. Instead, use it to show that you're the one who decides how the game is played. That's the core law. Don't react. Reframe. Don't defend. Define. Whoever controls the frame controls the power. Here's where everything changes. Because when someone disrespects you, your nervous system screams for action. Your ego wants to strike back. Your mouth wants to defend. Your mind wants to explain. That's how most people lose power without realizing it. They think they're standing up for themselves. But what they're really doing is stepping into the other person's frame. The Machiavellian move is colder, quieter, and infinitely more dangerous. It has 3 parts: not anger, not defense, not explanation, but stillness, slow acknowledgement, and frame inversion. This is the signature move. The moment someone tries to disrespect you, you don't rush. You don't react. You don't fill the air. You go still. Not frozen, not awkward, but composed. Your body settles. Your face relaxes. Your eyes don't flinch. It's the kind of stillness that feels heavy, like the room itself just leaned in. Because people expect friction. They expect pushback. They expect noise. What they don't expect is silence that looks like control. That stillness alone already shifts something. It sends one message: I am not where you think I am. It tells everyone watching that you are not operating on the same emotional level as the person trying to provoke you. Then, and only then, comes the slow acknowledgement. Not a reply, not a rebuttal, just acknowledgement. Simple, neutral, unemotional. I see. Noted. If that's how you feel. All right. No edge, no sarcasm, no explanation. You're not agreeing. You're not defending. You're letting their words land and die. This is where most people fail. They can't resist adding more. They can't stop themselves from clarifying. They can't help trying to fix the perception. But the Machiavellian knows, the moment you explain, you kneel. So you don't. You acknowledge and stop. And that's when the 3rd part activates. Frame inversion. Because now something strange happens. You're calm, you're quiet, you're unmoved, and suddenly, they look loud. They look emotional. They look like they're trying too hard. Without saying a word, you flipped the roles. A second ago, they tried to put you on trial. Now the room is silently asking, why are they so pressed? Why do they care so much? Why are they trying to get a reaction? Your stillness becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, their disrespect looks small, desperate, almost embarrassing. You didn't challenge them. You didn't fight them. You simply refused the frame. That's the inversion. You're no longer the one being judged. They are. And you didn't have to accuse them. Your composure did it for you. This is status assertion without justification. You're not saying, I deserve respect. You're showing, I don't even recognize this as something worth reacting to. And that is the highest status signal there is. Because high-status minds don't argue their position, they assume it. They move as if it's already settled. This is why the move feels wrong at first. Your ego wants fireworks. Your pride wants dominance. But real dominance isn't loud. It's when you make someone feel like they just swung at air. So remember the sequence. Stillness first. Let the moment breathe. Then acknowledgement. Short. Neutral. Final. Then let the inversion happen. Don't force it. Don't decorate it. Just hold your composure and let the room recalibrate around you. That's the move. No anger, no defense, no explanation. Just a presence that says, you don't have the power to make me react. And when you do this right, the disrespect doesn't escalate. It collapses, because there's nothing left for it to feed on. And in that moment, quietly, invisibly, the power shifts into your hands. If you're tired of being pulled into fights you never chose, share this with someone who needs to hear it, because most people lose power trying to prove themselves. Why does this tactic, this combination of stillness, slow acknowledgement, and frame inversion, work so effectively? Let's break it down psychologically. First, it breaks the expectation loop. When someone disrespects you, they expect a familiar pattern. You get flustered, you defend yourself, you argue back. When you don't do that, when you remain still and offer a calm acknowledgement, you break that loop entirely. The attacker is left without the reaction they were counting on, and that alone makes them uncomfortable. Second, it triggers uncertainty. Humans rely on predictable social scripts. When you don't react as expected, you create a gap of uncertainty in their mind. They start questioning themselves. Did they go too far? Did they misjudge you? Are you more powerful than they realized? That uncertainty is a powerful psychological weapon. Third, it forces them to self-expose. When you don't engage with their disrespect, they often start talking more to fill the silence. In doing so, they reveal more about their own insecurities, their own motives, their own emotional weaknesses. You've turned the spotlight onto them without saying a word. Fourth, it moves the judgment onto them. Now, instead of you being judged for how you respond, they're being judged for their attempt to provoke you. The social dynamic flips. The crowd, or even just the other person, starts to see them as the one who's out of line. This ties into the larger principles of using silence as a weapon, embracing ambiguity, and cultivating an aura of unreadable strength. By not reacting, by leaving space for ambiguity, you build an aura of someone who is not easily moved, someone who is above petty conflicts, and someone who ultimately controls the emotional landscape. In short, this psychological approach works because it breaks the expected pattern, triggers uncertainty, forces the aggressor to reveal themselves, and shifts judgment onto them, all while you maintain a powerful aura of controlled ambiguity. This is how you turn disrespect into your own advantage. Now you understand the mechanism. Let's watch it work where it actually matters. In real rooms, with real people. In each scenario, we'll see how a normal reaction leads to a loss of power, and how the Machiavellian response flips the script. 1. In public. Imagine you're at a social event, and someone makes a sarcastic remark about your achievements. A normal reaction might be to defend yourself or downplay the comment. But the Machiavellian response is to pause, offer a slow acknowledgement like, "Interesting take," and let the silence do the rest. The person who made the remark now looks like they're fishing for attention, While you appear composed and unbothered, the power shifts to you. 2. At work. Picture a meeting where a colleague undermines your idea in front of the team. A normal reaction is to jump in and justify why your idea is valid. The Machiavellian response? Pause, look at them calmly, and say, "It's always interesting to hear different perspectives." No defense, no argument. Now the room sees you as the calm leader, and the colleague looks like they're the one being combative. The power flips. 3. In relationships. In a personal relationship, maybe a partner accuses you of not caring or being distant. The normal reaction is to reassure them anxiously. The Machiavellian move is to remain calm, say, "That's not how I see it," and let the silence settle. They'll start rethinking their own accusation. Instead of you being on the defensive, they're now reconsidering their own words. 4. Online. On social media, someone calls you out or tries to start a flame war. The normal reaction is a lengthy reply or a defensive post. The Machiavellian response? Either no response at all or a simple, "People often misunderstand strength for arrogance." You're not defending yourself. You're reframing their attack into a sign of your strength. They end up looking petty, and you come out looking unshaken. 5. In groups. In a group setting, someone tries to undermine you to gain social clout. The normal reaction is to argue or to laugh it off nervously. The Machiavellian move is to remain still, let the group see you're calm, and then deliver a single line like, "It's interesting how some people interpret confidence." Now the group sees you as the composed one, and the person trying to gain status at your expense ends up looking insecure. In each of these scenarios, the normal reaction leads to a loss of power because it shows that you've been affected. But the Machiavellian response, stillness, calm acknowledgement, and frame inversion, flips the script and places you in the position of quiet authority. You turn their attempt at disrespect into a demonstration of your composure, and in doing so, you take control of the frame and the power. In the Machiavellian playbook, knowing exactly when to use each tool is as important as the tools themselves. Let's frame each rule with a simple, "Never mchas momon" when disrespected, to make it clear. Rule 1. Never speak. First, when disrespected. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to fill the silence. The rule here is simple. Never rush to speak. Use silence as your default. Let them expose themselves first. Rule 2. Never defend when disrespected. This is the core of the doctrine. Never jump into defending yourself. If the situation is mild, stay silent. If it's more intense, redirect the frame calmly, but never fall into the trap of justifying your worth. Rule 3. Never mirror emotion. Only mirror calm. When disrespected, never mirror their emotional intensity. Instead, mirror calm. If they're loud, you become quieter. If they're aggressive, you become still. This contrast makes them look out of control and makes you look unshakable. Rule 4. Never stay when it's time to exit. Sometimes the most powerful move is to simply exit the situation. Never linger and argue. If the disrespect is persistent and you've already made your point with calm, sometimes walking away is the ultimate assertion of power. It shows that you're not trapped in their frame at all. Rule 5. Never defend yourself when others will defend you. If you stay calm long enough, others will often step in. Never jump in to defend yourself when you can sense that someone else is about to do it. Let them. This makes you look even more composed and raises your status further. Each of these rules, who's a variation of the core doctrine, never react emotionally to disrespect. Instead, choose silence, redirection, mirroring calm, exiting when needed, and letting others defend you. By doing so, you maintain control of the frame and ensure that the power always remains with you. Do this once, and it's a tactic. Do it consistently, and it becomes your reputation. By following these Machiavellian principles, by mastering stillness, silence, frame control, and non-reactivity, you undergo an identity shift in the eyes of others. You move from being someone who has to demand respect to someone who people are simply afraid to test. Your reputation transforms. You're no longer seen as someone who has to ask for respect or prove your worth. Instead, you become unpredictable, untouchable, and not reactive. People can't easily read you, and that unpredictability makes them cautious. They know you're not someone who can be easily provoked or drawn into petty conflicts. They recognize that you don't react like everyone else, and that makes them hesitant to challenge you. Over time, this identity shift means that people stop seeing you as a target for disrespect in the first place. They understand that trying to provoke you is a losing game. They know that any attempt to undermine you will only backfire and expose their own insecurity. In other words, you become someone who commands respect without ever demanding it. Your very presence sets the tone. Your reputation for not being reactive precedes you, and that alone ensures that people think twice before ever trying to test you. In the end, this is the ultimate power shift. You move from being someone who has to fight for respect to someone who is respected by default. Your identity is no longer that of someone who demands respect, but someone who people are simply afraid to test. They know that you're unpredictable, untouchable, and that you never lose control of the frame. Once you master the Machiavellian approach to handling disrespect, you begin to cultivate something even deeper, an aura. This aura is a layer of presence that goes beyond just how you respond in the moment. It's about how your entire demeanor begins to speak for you before you even say a word. Presence is more than words. Your presence is not just about what you say. It's about the subtle cues you send with your posture, the steadiness of your eyes, the depth of your stillness, the precision of your timing, and the discipline of your restraint. Each of these elements contributes to the aura you project. Posture. When you stand or sit with a relaxed yet confident posture, you communicate that you are in control. You don't need to puff yourself up or shrink back. You simply hold your space with ease, and that ease signals to others that you're not easily rattled. Eyes. Your gaze is steady and calm. You don't dart your eyes nervously or look away when challenged. Instead, you maintain a composed, direct look that says you see everything and fear nothing. This kind of eye contact can be more powerful than any words because it shows an unspoken confidence. Stillness, the ability to remain still, is one of the most underrated signs of strength. When others are fidgeting, shifting, or showing nervous energy, your stillness becomes a statement. It says you are not hurried, not pressured, and not reactive. You move with intention, and that intention makes others take notice. Timing. The timing of your responses, or your silence, is crucial. You don't rush to fill pauses. You allow moments of silence to linger, making each word you do say carry more weight. This sense of timing creates an aura of someone who is deliberate, not impulsive. Restraint. Perhaps the most defining element of your aura is restraint. You show that you have the power to respond, but you choose not to. This restraint isn't weakness, it's controlled strength. It shows that you have mastery over your own emotions and that you're not easily pulled into someone else's drama. Your silence starts speaking for you. Ultimately, all of these elements come together to create an aura where your silence starts speaking for you. People begin to sense your presence the moment you enter a room. They feel the steadiness of your posture, the calm of your gaze, the deliberate timing of your words, or the lack thereof, and the quiet power of your restraint. In this way, you don't need to constantly assert yourself. Your aura does it for you. You become known as someone who is unflappable, someone whose silence carries more weight than other people's loudest words, and someone whose presence alone commands respect. People no longer test you because they understand that you operate on a different level of emotional control. They recognize that your aura is not something to be easily challenged, and in that recognition, the power shift is complete. You have become someone whose silence speaks volumes and whose very presence sets the tone. We've come full circle. By now you understand how to handle disrespect in a way that flips the power dynamic instantly. But let's talk about the ultimate outcome of embracing this Machiavellian mindset. You reach a point where you no longer have to fight disrespect at all, because people simply stop trying. Your name alone carries weight. Your reputation for being untouchable becomes a kind of quiet legend. People know that challenging you isn't worth the effort because you don't respond the way others do. You don't feed the cycle. You break it. In other words, you don't just win individual moments of disrespect. You end the entire pattern. You create an environment where people no longer see you as someone they can test. Your silence and composure become your armor. Your calm responses become your shield, and your restraint becomes the verdict that quietly dismantles any attempt to undermine you. You don't win the moment. You end the pattern. That's the ultimate power. It's not about scoring points in a single exchange. It's about creating a reality where those exchanges rarely happen at all. You become the person whose very presence shifts the atmosphere. You become the one who sets the tone simply by being in the room. So, as we close this chapter, remember this. True power isn't about constant confrontation. It's about creating an aura that makes confrontation unnecessary. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to demand respect, because respect is the natural response to your presence. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to become the person who never has to fight for respect again, then it's time to step into this power. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more insights on mastering the hidden dynamics of power.